This is the first time we've convened since our live Oscar pre-show, so I guess we'll start out real quick. It's old. It feels like old news by now, just a week out from the Oscar ceremony, but we have not yet given our official reaction to that ceremony. So I will just start and say I thought it was very sloppily directed, but Jerry, I mean, you said you wanted some surprises, and you got a few.
I got obviously the big one is the Stallone not getting it, which it's like, I go back, I guess, to Eddie Murphy and Dreamgirls, that kind of shock. But this was even, and it's not a shock who won, because if you were going on the things that did win, you were like, oh, wow, this is what everyone was talking about in September. Mark Rylance was like the top, if I'm not mistaken, was like the top pick for Best Supporting Actor before anyone had seen Creed. So, and then Spotlight was the front runner going into this thing long ago. So these were not like big, but they were surprises nonetheless, because we thought these things had faded away. But I was just dumbfounded by the Stallone snub.
It was just sad, frankly. I was just saddened by it. I mean, I like Mark Rylance in that movie. I don't begrudge him that award at all.
Oh.
And maybe you can even say that the right person won, because he's somebody that did not go out and do any kind of campaigning for the award or anything. He didn't do any extra work at all for it. And the award went to the performance, not to the story. We wanted the award to go. I really did think that Stallone was better, frankly.
Oh, yeah.
But generally, in a way, it should have been better, because he's played the role 7 times. So, but I don't know. It was just sad. I wanted to see that moment.
I think we all did.
Yeah,
and it was his best, how should I say it? We had talked about this also, the Harrison Ford character in Star Wars. It was his best performance since the first one of this character. Just really, really emotional and everything.
Better than Tango and Cash.
I don't know about that, Jamie. You're on shaky ground there.
I guess with you can lump this loss in with things like you mentioned Eddie Murphy for Dreamgirls, but also Burt Reynolds in Boogie Nights. Whereas I guess our friend Jason Miller told me very early on. He said I could see a possibility of them not giving it to him, because he's made a lot of enemies in the film business. He's pissed some people off. And he didn't have a great, just because someone breaks their mold of doing shitty movies all the time doesn't mean we need to give them an Oscar for it. So you can
Mickey
say
Rourke.
that.
Mickey Rourke for the rest
Mickey Rourke, yes.
That's actually, I think, still one of the biggest ones. Just such a heartbreaking performance. Yeah.
But I'm like you guys. I don't begrudge Mark Rylance, because he's a great actor, and he is an actor. He doesn't make a big amount of hooey about himself.
Right.
He does his job, and he's great at it. He was also, I think, the most stylish-looking male that night. Just from a fashion standpoint, I thought he looked really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, but not all, the pleasant surprise was Ex Machina winning Best Visual Effects. I was glad they went for the more subtle kind of effects.
That was very interesting, because apparently, when they were showing the effects reels, because they do like a little bake-off, and the visual effects people actually get together and watch the reels together to decide what the nominees are going to be. So it's the longer list, it's like 10 movies.
Right.
And apparently when Ex Machina's reel played, there was a real sort of silence in the crowd. Like the sense was by the writers who were covering this event was that their effects reel didn't work. So that it wasn't impressive. And so here it is. It becomes the winner. I wonder if there was just a massive split too, like between all of those, between the Revenant and Mad Max and Star Wars, particularly, of just and that just sort of snuck in.
I didn't see Star Wars. Just something about ever since Star Wars has come back into the thing, in '99. It hasn't really. It's been nominated and everything, but it doesn't. They just don't. How should I say it? For that, the Star Wars films just don't pick up the Oscar awards anymore. So I was, happy to see it nominated, which I thought was and I got to be honest with you, I don't think Disney really could care less if it was nominated or not. They just wanted to make a lot of money, and they got to have, because they were going to go with this thing. They weren't going to screen it at all. Remember that was a big thing back in December, that there would be no critic screenings or anything. They were just going to drop it. They didn't. I mean, it's the one movie you don't need to have any, that at all. But
I knew Mad Max was going to control the Tech Awards, but I didn't know that they were going to win quite that big, as big as they did. I was expecting like 4 awards, and they ended up with 6. Also really surprising was just the fact that I guess by close to the end of the night, I was like, wow, every award winner has been from another country. Like almost every award winner, I think it's like 28 out of 40 award winners were from other countries.
Right.
Pakistan was there, and Italy, and Sweden, the UK, Ireland, Chile, and of course Australia as well. So it was a real international. Hungary, of course, with Sunstall. So it was a real sort of surprisingly international thing, and of course Mexico. With Inarritu.
So it's weird that, on Sunday night we were talking with Tony Macklin, and we were going back and forth about the Best Picture being a three-way race, and it turned out really to be the case because the Spotlight took it home. But it really the Oscars spread the wealth this year, like they have done in years previous too. They've really try to be good about that in the past few years. I don't know if that's been by design or just the luck of the draw.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. It is odd though. Spotlight winning and only winning one other award. That's of course the first time that's happened since '52 with greatest show on earth.
Right.
Which won picture and a screenplay award. Then before that, I think it had only happened in 1940 with Rebecca winning picture and I think like art direction or something. So very weird that's happened.
So what do you think of Chris Rock?
I thought he was fine. I thought he did, he really, I thought he nailed it, personally. I thought he really did a good job. I really can't have any complaints of what, I know there's the skit, the gag with the Asian kids was a huge misfire. That did not go over well.
Yeah, that was like an old-timey gag. Like, that was like an old-timey gag from, like, the 70s or something.
Yeah.
It was like... That was odd. Well, I love the Suge Knight jokes. I thought those were hilarious. Those were my biggest laughs of the night. I didn't really find the monologue itself particularly memorable. I enjoyed the show.
I laughed out loud at the in memoriam joke he told. It consists of the black people that were shot by cops going to the movies or something.
Oh yeah.
And that was like a typical Chris Rock joke where it was really biting and acerbic, but there was like something a little deeper underneath it. So I think that worked. You know, and I think that's what he was going for with the Stacey Dash joke as well, but it didn't translate.
I got that though. I mean, that I got.
It was, it was an incredibly awkward moment because I think just most people didn't get it, and I don't know that it's a let's laugh out loud funny joke anyway. But I think what he was trying to say was, look, we're talking about diversity, but here's a person of the African American culture that doesn't believe in Black History Month, doesn't believe in BET and all of that kind of stuff, and we kind of ostracize her from our own race. So we don't really embrace the diversity in our own culture. That's what I got from it. And I think that's a little too, you have to think about an hour before you get to that point.
Right.
It's not really a joke
I think that obviously went over a lot of people's heads. But, if, you pay attention to this stuff. Yeah, I mean, you get it. You're just like, wow, you're really stretching there. But it was, I admired him for doing that, though. I thought that was and that she was willing to play along with it.
Yeah, well, got her on the Oscar stage, which she never would have been on regardless. So,
she got that swag bag.
Exactly. And I thought it was the staging. I thought it wasn't directed as well as it should be.
I liked how they did the acting nominees, though, the acting categories, the way they.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Huh?
I actually didn't like that. I thought it was weird and just awkward for the presenter.
Well, yes, that I agree with, but I don't know. Visually, I thought it was interesting. So.
And then one of the funniest comments I read was our good friend Chris. He was like, everybody was bragging about Gaga's performance, which was probably not so much the performance as when the survivors came up, and you could tell they were genuinely overcome with emotion. The survivors, when they walked up to the piano, I thought that was what was so moving about it. But our good friend Chris made a comment like, either play the piano or point your finger. You can't do both, Lady Gaga. Anyway.